What's up, everybody? It's your favorite show, Get a Bucket. I'm your host, Train, as usual. Hope you're all having a wonderful, wonderful day. Today, we're going to talk about my most disappointing NBA team from the 2025 season. But before we do that, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Please make sure to comment and tell anyone about the show. I'm trying to get the ratings up a little bit, just a little bit. But like I said, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to talk about the most disappointing, mine, of the 2025 season in terms of teams. So, and just a quick disclaimer, right? If you made the playoff or play in, you cool. Like, we cool. I'm not going to mention you on this video, but we're going to talk about other teams, though, because some other teams that we need to talk about. So with that being said, let's go ahead and give our honorable mentions, right? And I'm going to go ahead and bring up the list so that y'all know what teams I'm talking about. So these are the teams, ladies and gentlemen, that we got here. Y'all see them. I'm going to just pay attention to these real quick. Ain't that something, right? All right. So now that we're back on track here, let's go ahead and talk about my honorable mention. So we got to talk about the Brooklyn Nets, right? You should have tanked more. You genuinely should have tanked more. You at the fifth spot. You at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Look at y'all overachieving. And like, who was on the squad this season, bro? Like, dang. Y'all I don't think y'all had enough talent to get the 6 from the bottom. Y'all should have done worse. But again, though, not too bad. Y'all should have just tanked a little more. That was me. But again, they're on the honorable mention list. Let's talk about next the New Orleans Pelicans. Again, I do understand, right? Y'all had injuries that really derailed the team. Your situation has not panned out, though, for a couple seasons now. I said before, years ago, they were the dark horse of the NBA. They went from the dark horse to My Little Pony real quick. That's all I'm saying. And now I even got to wonder about Willie Green as a head coach. But honorable mention, I put him here because I understand the injuries did derail them. So it's unfortunate, but still some of that I do pay attention to. But again, like I said, honorable mention list. Let's move on up to the Washington Wizards, ladies and gentlemen. Here's the thing, because this is really contingent on if they don't get the number 1 draft pick. That's a shame. Keep in mind, they're at the bottom right here. Well, second to the bottom. Should have been at the bottom. Shout out to the Jazz. But as a Sparks fan, remember, my Sparks were number 1 at the worst. We're the worst. And we didn't get the number 1 pick. So maybe the Washington Wizards can still get the number 1 pick, because I said they should get Cooper Flagg, where then he can be coined the American flag and be on the Wizards, which is residing in DC. I think that's a nice little name, a nice little situation. So that's why I got them on the honorable mention list. But they tried. They genuinely tried. They say first is the worst, second is the best. So maybe that's what happens here. I know it did for the WNBA, right? Like, oh my God. Let's go ahead and move on down to the 76ers. Final team on my honorable wish list, the honorable mention list. I mean, again, injuries were the main issue. When you have your 4 best players not even eclipsing 65% of the season played, that's an uphill battle. Tyrese Maxey had 63% of the games of the season played. Paul George had 50% of the season played. Joel Embiid, 23%. And Jared McCain, 28%. So I understand why they're at the bottom of the barrel. I genuinely do. But this, before the season started, was supposed to be a contending team. So I am torn between putting them on the honorable mention list and on my actual list. I was torn, but I decided to put them on the honorable mention because of the injuries. But ladies and gentlemen, we have talked about the honorable mention. So I got to talk about the 3 teams that were my most disappointing. So with that, and make sure, let me get my soapbox. We got to talk about the 3 teams. It was 3 of them boys. It was 3 of them teams that really irritated the hell out of me this season. So let's start it off. And again, y'all know the bottom of the barrel, right? So I'm going to talk about the Miami Heat, the Toronto Raptors, and the Phoenix Suns. Now, the Miami Heat, yes, I get it, right? Like, you guys traded Jimmy. I do understand that's a big piece. That's your first option, essentially. Usually when we say, oh, remove this person, remove your star, and your team's going to be blah, 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 blah. Well, we're seeing that point in time right there at the play-in, bottom of the barrel, number 10. That's my issue, though. Like, you couldn't outplay a dismantled Atlanta Hawks team? Really? The Atlanta Hawks' second best player, which was Jalen Johnson, didn't play more than 36 games this total season. We also couldn't outplay the Chicago Bulls. Again, I understand Jimmy Butler was out. Still, like, come on now. Those two teams we couldn't outplay. We couldn't get over the hump for them two. I don't know. They don't really bode well. And then people saying, well, we're going to see them in the play-in, so we'll be fine. I don't like that mindset, especially coming from this Heat team. So, again, I'm disappointed in the Miami Heat because, yeah, they're in the play-in. They couldn't get past the Hawks or the Bulls during the regular season. That's tough, even with the Jimmy trade. But cool, I guess. Fine. Let's go ahead and move on down then to the Toronto Raptors. Because, again, as a talent, I think the Toronto Raptors should be a little higher than this. Like, you guys lost out to the Chicago Bulls. That's tough. If you said you lost out to the Hawks, I might be able to understand it because of Trae Young being there. Trae Young's better than the Raptors players right now. Maybe his gravity can help out. Plus, Jalen Johnson gave enough play, right? And the Toronto Raptors are not as experienced as the Miami Heat team is. That's why I say the Chicago Bulls. Like, they were dismantled this year. They ended up losing Zach LaVine. Their best player was Nikola Vucevic, who was also in trade discussions, trade rumors. Really? We can't beat them? Raptors, I'm going to start putting some pressure on y'all, especially come next season, because y'all have all the pieces in place. So if you guys are not in the playoffs next year, I said playoffs, not play-in, playoffs, I got to start looking at some players a little differently now. That's just me. B.I., Scotty, some pressure on you. So, and again, like, there's too much talent on this squad. Also, the coach, Darko Raskovic, who the hell is that? We might need to get some new blood up in the Toronto Raptors management. And I say coaching is part of management. So, again, Toronto, I was a little disappointed. I expected a little bit more. But, ladies and gentlemen, and please, y'all see right here where the Phoenix Suns are. Because, again, I understand a little bit about the Raptors. I can understand about the Miami Heat. I cannot understand the Phoenix Suns being as abysmal as they were. Ladies and gentlemen, we missed the play-in. I'm not a Suns fan, but I say we because I'm a Kevin Durant fan. We missed the play-in. I'm a Devin Booker fan. We missed the play-in. That's tough. There's way too much talent on this team to miss the play-in, ladies and gentlemen. Devin Booker should leave. And I think someone like the Knicks could be a good destination for him. I always said he reminded me of Allen Houston. The Lakers, that could be a solid position for him. That would be really cool to pair him up with Luka. The Mavs, even, that could be nice. What if you get him, Kyrie, AD? That could be interesting. Again, D-Book should leave. Kevin Durant probably is going to leave. But my question is, should he stay for a legacy perspective? Because now you're going to be called, well, like you are already called a track star. People keep saying you keep running shit when stuff gets hard. And I hate it because, again, I said I'm a Kevin Durant fan. So part of me thinks you should actually stay. Because the next team you go to, hopefully you retire with that squad. Because at this point in time, buddy, it's not a good look. And, like, the coach did get fired. And that's the best thing that the Suns did this entire season, which is sad. Like, finally. Because I thought the coach was piss poor. How do we not use a player like Bol, even if Buddy comes off as lazy in practice? And I get it, right? Like, practice means a lot to me too now, don't get me wrong. But Bol's still 7'2" and mobile. We need to get him more PT, especially when you're a team devoid of talent, or one, of talent, but two, of height. Why not use Bol? He can stretch the floor. He can provide some rebounding. 15 minutes, that's not a lot of time. But that's enough time for him to get about 6 points, 5 rebounds, and a block. That's what you need if you're the Suns. So, again, for me, coaching didn't quite seem like it was there. And, again, ladies and gentlemen, I've talked about how teams were behind certain teams. You were 3 games behind the Mavs. That was the closest team in the West. You were tied with the Portland Trailblazers. Trash. Like, let's not forget, The Mavs had Kyrie that got injured. They traded Luka. AD got injured. Then they had Lively get injured. Gafford got injured. There were so many people that got injured during their run, and they still outplayed the Sun. Got to blow the team up. Got to blow the team up. And Bradley Beal is about to look the worst out of everybody in this whole situation. But keep in mind, though, he getting paid, so I guess he cool, right? Like this is my most disappointed team. Like I don't want to say ever, but in terms of a Kevin Durant team, yeah, this is my most disappointing one right now, easily, because they played enough games, they had enough talent, they could have been contenders, and the fact that you missed the play-in completely, trash. I ladies and gentlemen, I'm at a loss for words. So that concludes all of my all my disappointing team. And y'all heard, I definitely gave some grace for a lot of teams. The honorable mentions I talked nicely about. Even the other two, I gave you some. I understand it, right? The Sun, I can't understand it at all. And again, Kevin Durant's my favorite player in the NBA to watch. So the fact that he's on the team now hurts even more so. But you got to be fair, right? So again, ladies and gentlemen, those are my listings. But I'm curious. Was there one that I missed? And I understand I said these are the teams that did not make the play-in, even though one of them did, right? The Miami Heat. But still, they barely made that one. So I thought I could sneak them in there. Was there a team that I missed? We'll find out. But as the playoffs progress, we will definitely talk about the other teams and if I'm disappointed in them as well, too. But overall, ladies and gentlemen, please make sure to like, subscribe, comment, tell anyone who's anyone about the show. My name is Trey. I'm the host of Get a Bucket. Hope you all are having a good one. Take care.